Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. Time for play of props in the NBA. We got 8 games to choose from on Thursday. All but 4 teams are on a back-to-back as well. So props are a little bit slim pickings here early Thursday morning. I would definitely stay on the social medias as well to make sure that you're staying up to date with the injury news that's going to come out. Might be a little bit of a minefield with some of these players getting just randomly scratched on the back-to-back, as we know is always plausible. So be cautious, but we do have 4 good bets here for you, as well as a best bets video up in a separate video there. So do like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along all season with us. Also head to thelines.com and use that prop finder tool that we have up there. It's a very nice chart to show you exactly all the juice that you can get back on these bets from all these books, giving us these odds this season. Nate, let's go ahead and jump into fan favorite and show favorite, Bojan Bogdanovic, not brother of Bogdanovic.
Thank you for clarifying that. We had no idea on Monday. Just assumed the two guys look alike. They have similar games to an extent, and we just assumed that's our bad.
How about the same last name and almost the same first name? It's just one of those things where, like, in college, we started watching these dudes play, and we were just like, oh, they're brothers, and we never decided to check back up on it.
Yeah, no fact checking required. But yes, Bojan Bogdanovic, unrelated. Did find some good juice here on 3 assists for plus 130 at Caesars. I think you can put half your unit on that and half on 25.5 points and assists. He's coming off a 25-point game against the Hawks in a good matchup. Gets another really good matchup against the Jazz perimeter D. I said in the best bets that their interior D is good with Walker Kessler back, but their wing defense is putrid. They've allowed 70 assists in their last 2 road games, now up to 30 on the year on the road versus 25 at home. They allow 40% from 3 on the road, 50% field goals. They allow the 5th most points to small forwards overall, and a hell of a lot of threes to that position. They are allowing the 3rd highest percentage from 3 in their last 3 here, 45%, and over 50% of opponents' points have come via the 3 in that span. So Bojan, clearly the floor stretcher the Pistons were missing and are still missing in terms of some extra help for him and Cade Cunningham, who have taken on a huge usage rate here in 8 games, immediately hit the ground running. Bojan, 25% usage in these 8, hitting over 3 threes per game at 42%. At home, he hits nearly 4 threes. He averaging 23.5 points, 3.3 assists on 27% usage. This is a revenge spot. He's had 2 opportunities to beat his former team last year, and he shot poorly, under 39%, which is not what he's been doing this year. Got 19 points per game. I expect him to rebound, but you like to see the usage rate was 27%, so he was out there gunning against the former team, and he did get 3 assists in both. So I like the juice you get on the assists for a guy who's got to be a playmaker for a weak team.
Love the randomness of this for Bojan, but there's heavy correlation. I get it. He's the only, we've talked about it. If you're going to bet an over on a Pistons player, you better be taking Bojan or Cade, because nobody else is getting time and nobody else is relied upon with usage. It's almost like Jaden Ivey's not helping them in that at the 4th overall pick. That was a complete fucking bust at this point. Excuse my French, but it's just so brutal to just keep watching vets forced into 38 minutes a game because the rooks that they drafted were just not good enough. That's going to be what we see continuously. So until he gets traded, Denny Advija, I got to go under, and I love our boy Denny on the Wizards here, but I'm going to take under 21.5 PRA. And here's where I'm at with it. Like I said this recently, but he had his props higher about a week or 2 ago. They were at like 23.5, 24.5 points. He was going over 5 in a row. Last 6 games, then it's stalled out, and including the last 3. So this prop has dropped from like 23.5 PRA to 21.5. And I hate the feeling of being like, well, I was on this and I was riding a golden goose, and then like now it's just sort of like spit up all its golden eggs essentially, and it's dry. But we'll see. I'm still going to ride with it with a half a unit because I do feel like it's this like pivotal moment for him. But he's playing a team in Portland that just stops exactly what he wants to do. Maybe better than any other team in the league, Nate. Like maybe the teams are taking not that many threes against them because they're definitely forcing teams off the 3-point line. They just run you off it. As we've seen them do consistently. That's a decent game plan. 3 is worth more than 2, so run them off the line. But their interior defense is terrible because of dominating. So that's not quite Denny's game. He has been getting to the free throw line a little bit more at times, but not only twice in the last 10 games has he gotten to the free throw line more than 5 times. So like it's not like he's getting a ton of points from there. He is shooting roughly 38.5% of his shots from 3-point as well, which is very helpful to take an under when you've got such a good 3-point defense there as well for him. They allow the fifth fewest points per game, rebounds per game, and assists per game to opposing small forwards. Is he a small forward? Is Kyle Kuzma the small forward? They're interchangeable. I think an under for at least one of them is in the cards. Just got to get it right for which one it is. It could be both of them, but I think it's at least one of them. And I would go with Denny on this one because Kuz has proven to be a better rebounder. And the Pistons, or excuse Pistons, I keep doing that. The Blazers are not the worst rebounding team by any means. They're not great, but Ayton has been good on the defensive rebounding side of the ball. So I don't think Denny attacking the offensive glass is going to be a solid way for him to get second chance points tonight necessarily, mostly because Kamara and Jeremy Grant are back. That needs to be mentioned. This bet would not be being made if either or both of those guys were not playing. But with Jeremy Grant on the floor, a defensive rating that drops to 114 from 124 without him, Tumani Kamara, who shall never be blasphemed on this show, as the rook in the second round pick, is also a very good rangy wing defender who's versatile on defense and can play guys down low, which Denny Avdia is obviously a very big small forward. So you're going to need someone with a 6'9" size and like a 7'2" wingspan of Tumani Kamara to be able to hang with him. Plus, Jeremy Grant has gotten a lot better at the interior defense and honestly is way more impactful down low defending the paint than dominating is. So with both those guys back, with Brogdon in there as well, overall just defense better around the perimeter, I'm just going to go under 21.5 PRA for Denny.
Yeah, I mean, how often is Jordan Poole really gonna let Avdia get his hands on the ball? Like, yeah, we're talking a usage rate potential below like 12% for a guy. So who's not putting up a ton of stats in the other realms. So I think it's just fine to take an under here, yeah, against Portland, which, like we've been saying, is underrated and underrated defensively. I will take over on Nikola Vucevic, who we've gone under a couple times with recently, but no more, I think, with the new look Bulls here. Won 8 of their last 11 with Kobe White running the offense, and they are on a back-to-back here against the Spurs, which I actually like Vooch more for that. DeMar DeRozan had his stats kind of fall down when he's on a back-to-back, but Vooch last season averaged more minutes per game, scored 17 and a half, and had 11 and a half boards last season on 0 days rest. This season, he's again spiked 19 and a half points versus 16 on normal rest, and his usage rate up 5% when we're on a back-to-back. So other Bulls a little more tired. Vooch is a guy who played all 82 last season and just, goes in and punches the clock. And it's a fantastic matchup. Topped this in 6 of his last 8 against the Spurs, including 21 and 16 on December 8th when these teams met. He had 10 of the team's 24 offensive rebounds in that game. Like, the Spurs are just really rough rebounding the ball. They allow the third most rebounds overall because they can't make shots. Vooch defensively, since then, his last 6, 30% defensive rebound rate. So he's grabbing those. Spurs also allow the second most points to centers. And, in their last 3 here, they have a laughable 3.7 assist to turnover ratio to opponents, by far worst in the league. And they allow the second most assists overall. Vooch, an underrated playmaker right now for a Spurs team a Bulls team that is again, sharing the ball a little better without Zach LaVine. He's averaging 4 assists per game in his 11 without LaVine this season. Is Vucevic.
So many stats to go around without Zach LaVine. I'm just glad for an excuse to briefly talk about the Bulls being the best team against the spread in their 10 games that they've played without Mr. LaVine there. We did call them winning last night on the side as well for that game against LA, because they're a fun team to watch, man. Talked about it yesterday, and we'll keep talking about it. My bad on the Kobe White bet. That was a little bit of a reach with DeMar. Such a high usage on the front end of those back-to-backs. Like you said, maybe a better night for Kobe tonight, as well as Vooch with the way that DDR plays on the second legs on no rest, like you mentioned. Yeah, I wanted to go under again. There's no unders that I could find in this game. That's for damn sure. I would never feel comfortable taking an under of a guy playing against this Spurs Olay defense. So let's close it out and go back to the Ja well, man. I talked about it a little bit already, but I got to just take what I like here. And what's available to us with such slim pickings is Ja Morant to get 25 plus and his team to win by. I'll take the 2.5 as well because I'm not worried. It gives you a little bit more juice. Plus 138 on DraftKings. If you take the money line, plus 118. So I thought 2.5 points for 20 cents seemed worth it. But yeah, let's just keep it simple here. Like with Ja on the floor, he's going to be shooting. I am going to put stock into the idea that this team needs to win and win now and win consistently until they end this season. If they really still think that they are a playoff team, which look, you put Ja Morant, we might have forgotten, but like he reminded us, you put Ja Morant on a team and you have an offense right there already. You just need a couple guys to be able to hit some threes, and Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to benefit from that. He shoots the highest percentage of his shots from catch and shoot of any power forward in the league. I know it's a very specific statistic, but like that's just an indicator of like how often he needs to be spotted up to score. And also, it helps his free throw game as well. He's actually going to probably average a few more free throws a game with Ja in there, which is a huge part of this bet as well, by the way. Indiana has the third worst defensive free throw attempt rate because they let you out in transition and you're going to the basket and they got to foul you because that's what it is. They got one of the worst transition defenses in the league, despite having one of the best transition offenses in the league. So Ja should be able to get his in space. Point guards, they score at a decent rate against the Pacers here. Like I've said before, like Tyrese isn't a total liability on defense, but he's certainly not good enough to guard Ja. It's going to be a team effort, and the amount of points that you can score in the paint on this team, Ja should be able to get in there and then just kind of do what he wants. To be honest, the way exactly what we saw, I don't think the Pacers are going to do a better job of stopping him than the Pellies did with Herb Jones, right? Like Herb Jones was meeting Ja at the 3-point line, and it didn't matter because he still found himself in one-on-one matchups against Joval until they went into the zone. And I think you're going to see zone probably pretty often in this one for the Pacers if they can get back on defense in time to set it up, because I don't know that they will be. I think Memphis keeps this pace high. I do think they win on defense to a degree, but it's much easier to play defense if you've got a made basket rather than a missed one in transition, right? And I do think we're going to see plenty of made baskets. I think we're going to see plenty of clock stoppage because the Grizzlies will be attacking, especially with Ja. They're going to get a lot of stuff in the paint and around the rim. So yeah, just give me Ja to get the 25 and the win here and the 2.5 point spread. I'll take that with Memphis over Indiana tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Even if they play zone or just sag off him and dare him to shoot, we saw with Ja last game, like he'll just still find a way to score over you. Like he's like a mini Giannis in that regard. Like you can sag off, you can do whatever, and Indy's the worst team in the league defending the paint and keeping people off the free throw line. So hard to imagine, he takes his foot off the gas now after such a stellar debut because Memphis needs it. Like this is not a team where he can just like pick and choose his spots and be like, all right, Bane, you go get it tonight. Like no, he's got to come out like a bat out of hell, like we said in the debut, and kind of will this team back to 500. So love Memphis to win here. If if you're looking at a money line parlay partner, they're definitely it. With Indiana back-to-back, maybe Portland, who we talk about in the best bets video, put those two together and get pretty good odds there to win.
Yeah, they're definitely a wonderful parlay partner because they get good juice on the money line because it's such a small spread for them. And I don't know that this spread would be -2.5 with Indiana back-to-back if Ja has, in 2 weeks from now, let's say, right after this team has gone on a little run. I doubt that this spread would be so small. So I think, yeah, we're getting great value here tonight, man. But that is all the time we have for you in the Play Up Props. Continue to follow along, like and subscribe to that page. Check out the best bets we also have up for you. Until we see you next. Happy betting.